As a kid, I used to write quite a bit, not stories, but poems. I used to write a lot of poems, and my dad was very supportive and very encouraging. My dad, actually, who was a businessman by profession, was a poet by nature, and he was a far better poet than I will ever be. I must admit that. He even translated the works of Rabindranath Tagore in Portuguese, you know. So he used to be very supportive of my poetry. So he compiled a list of my poems. I remember I still have them actually. So those were my first steps into writing. Poetry and limericks, naughty limericks.
Today I'm visiting the home of writer Mario Coelho. Mario is from Goa and he has just released a collection of short stories titled The Twisted Child Tales of the Unexpected. So I'm here to chat with Mario about his writing journey, his latest book, and what is it that makes him inspired as a writer.
This is the book that I've come out with. It's called The Twisted Child and Tales of the Unexpected. Because my aim is to have every story with a twist at the end. And I would even challenge the reader. There are 12 stories here. I would challenge the reader to be able to guess the endings of more than 2 stories. And if he or she can do that, I'll give them a free copy.
Mario's stories have many human characters, but they also have quite a few ghosts. I'm very curious to know, does he believe in ghosts?
People came up to me, people whom I know and strangers whom I met, who told me tales of their encounters with the supernatural. And I used to never believe in ghosts. Oh, I have a book, a huge Reader's Digest book of, tales of the paranormal, poltergeists and all that stuff, but I don't know whether I used to really believe in ghosts. But then these people told me things that actually happened to them, and I had to do a rethink. And then I thought to myself, okay, why not put them into my stories? So I've acknowledged 4 of those people in this book of mine because they came up with really enchanting stories. Now, what I do is I take the bare bones of what they've told me and I craft a totally different story out of it, most of the time. So I'm quite proud of that because if you tell me you've had this experience, I'll say that's interesting. I'll take that experience and then I'll let my imagination run wild, and that is the gift of imagination, and I will craft a story that might be completely different from what you said, or there will be similarities. Either way, it can go either way.
And now let's meet Mishti. Mario says that his writing journey would not be the same without her.
Actually, she takes me away from my writing quite often because she has specific timings for her lunch and for her dinner and for her snacks, and I'm the guy who generally feeds her. So if you're writing a story at that time, and she comes to you and says, yep, yep, you have to put aside your writing and you have to pick her up. Here she is, okay, and you have to attend to her because she's like a child. You can't say later I'm doing a story. I'm in the thick of writing a horror story or a children's story. No, you have to keep aside pen and paper or your cell phone and you have to attend to her. But she is a terrific companion and a stress buster like no other. This book has been brought out by Goa 1556. It's a pretty well-known publishing company in Goa, which is largely Goa-centric. Rico, or Frederick Noronha, that's his name. He's extremely supportive of Goan writers and Goan writing. For as long as I can remember, he's got a whole oeuvre of Goan writing, and a lot of Goan writers find their safe haven with Rico. This may be the first one that he's publishing which has a dash of the supernatural, mystery, suspense. Okay? And he's gone out on a limb. He's taken a risk in publishing this. He's got a lot of passion, enthusiasm, and commitment. And he has meticulous attention to detail. And that's something I really appreciate. So when the book comes out, it's like a finished product. She sings a song that sets her free, a melody from deep inside, of sadness all of grief.
Not only is Mario a short story writer, but he's also a songwriter, a singer, and a thespian who has been part of the Mustard Seed Art Company, one of Goa's longest running and most popular amateur theatre groups. So I'm curious to know how that journey sowed the seeds for Mario to be a writer.
I got into theatre, because of Isabel Vaz. And I loved acting. I still do actually, although I haven't acted in a long time. So the whole process of theatre is something that's fascinating. We used to think that it was the end product. How is it on the day of the show? Was the show good? Did people like it? Did we get a large audience? And then I realized, and it's not just me, I think all the mustard seeds realized at one point that it was the process. It's like writing, writing also, the process of writing is as important as the finished product. And in theatre, the friendships that you build, the work that you do, you meet every day or you meet thrice or 4 times a week at a particular time every afternoon, and you build up relationships, and there's a lot of work involved. It's hard work. It's not just learning your lines and emoting, you have to do it over and over again. And theatre is larger than life, So I was lucky because I was already writing a bit here and there, but Isabel, who's extremely encouraging and supportive, she asked me to write certain songs for specific plays. And I ended up becoming a lyricist. And there was this friend of mine called Victor Joshi, who was a very talented guitarist and composer. We used to sit together and we used to come up with melodies for the lyrics that I wrote. And we have some lovely songs and so many plays put up by the Mustard Seed Art Company. So I owe a lot, to the Mustard Seed Art Company. It has helped me a lot into becoming a full-fledged writer. What for me is even more heartening or encouraging is when writers like Jose Lorenzo and Beena Nayak have said that they are enchanted by my stories. Because I've asked specifically, did you read the book? Did you like the stories? And Jose said, for example, I read the whole book on the flight from UK to Goa. And yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. They were very entertaining. Beena Nayak said pretty much the same thing. And for me, this is an affirmation of sorts. It's a vindication. Because these are writers and artists of a very high caliber.